On July 18th, Donald Trump signed the GENIUS Act, the first federal law regulating a digital asset in American history. He called it a giant step toward American dominance of global finance and crypto. 1 year later, the implementing rules that the law requires still don't exist. 6 agencies have proposed rules, 0 are done. The Federal Reserve hasn't proposed anything of its own, and today I'm going to be proving 4 things. What GENIUS promised versus what it delivered, how the regulatory gaps were engineered, why Ripple's XRP ledger is positioned to challenge the stablecoin giants, and whether it's XRP or Bitcoin holders who are really winning or losing because of it. Let's go over this together, and I'll let you decide. The law made real promises: one-to-one dollar backing, monthly reserve disclosures, CEOs personally certifying reports, issuers treated like banks under the Bank Secretary Act, no yield paid to holders, and a dual state or federal supervision path. Congress passed it with bipartisan votes and set a 1-year deadline for final rules, July 18th, 2026. NCUA proposed rules in February. The OCC followed in March with a $5 million capital floor and a 10% liquidity requirement, and asked the public over 200 open questions with just 4 months left on the clock. Treasury proposed its state path rule in April. 0 states have been certified. The FDIC and FinCEN proposed anti-money laundering rules the same month. By June, 5 rulemakings had closed comments, leaving 5 weeks to reconcile 6 overlapping frameworks. Tight, but maybe possible. Then on June 22nd, 26 days before a deadline, regulators dropped 3 more proposed rules with comment periods stretching into August. That's the moment the deadline died. An agency legally cannot finalize a rule before its own comment period closes. The miss was printed in the Federal Register in plain sight, and almost nobody noticed it. One of those rules carried 5 agency signatures, including the Federal Reserve's only appearance in a full year of GENIUS rulemaking. GENIUS takes effect at the earliest of 120 days after the final rules, or January 18th, 2027, no matter what. Congress built in a backstop, and regulators are coasting into it. Meanwhile, real money hasn't waited. Stablecoins sit at nearly 300 billion in circulation, all still running on the old patchwork. While the rulebook stalled, one thing moved fast: bank charters. For 5 years, exactly 1 crypto firm held a federal charter. Then starting in December, the OCC approved 5 firms in a single day: Circle, Ripple, BitGo, Fidelity Digital Assets, Paxos, then Stripes Bridge, Crypto.com, Coinbase, even Sony Bank. Circle got final approval just 8 days before the deadline. Meanwhile, the rules governing what those issuers actually have to do, still 0 finalized. Same agency, 2 totally different speeds. If you already hold a charter, the missing rules cost you nothing. If you don't, every gap is a wall. No certified states, no finished federal framework, no path in. This same fight is playing out in the companion Clarity Act. The market structure bill just got stuck on yields, liability shields, and disclosure disputes, with the Senate math getting harder and harder by the week. Now let's get into the winners and losers of this all. Bitcoin got everything it wanted this year except irrelevance to what's actually being built. Commodity classifications, ETFs, institutional custody, a real win. But GENIUS is a payment law, and none of this new dollar architecture needs Bitcoin. Stablecoin volume hit record highs this year, and in that machine, Bitcoin is cargo, something the chartered banks custody, not something the system runs on. Circle won this year outright, final charter, and USDC now carries the majority of on-chain stablecoin transaction volume, even though Tether still leads on raw supply. Ripple also won outright. They won the positioning war. Conditional federal charter, RLUSD, growing fast, XRP classified as commodity, and a pending application for a Federal Reserve master account, a first for a crypto firm. Tether is winning and losing at the same time. Winning because every month without that final rules is a month its dominant supply trades are untouched. It's losing because it's compliant. US tokens is a fraction of the size its own giant. And Europe already previews where this ends, with exchanges there delisting USDT under stricter rules. The quiet losers, small issuers priced out by capital requirements, state chartered issuers with no certified path, and anyone waiting on consumer protections that are still sitting in draft form. Ripple built a full stack while everyone else waited on deadlines: a state trust charter first, then a conditional national bank charter, supervision at both state and federal levels, something no other stablecoin issuer has done. Then commodity classifications for XRP, then the Fed master account application, the direct pipe into the Federal Reserve's own payment rails, separate from any bank charter, and something the Fed has denied crypto firms before. License plus pipe is the complete package, and nobody else in the industry has both pieces in motion at once. The stablecoin is the product, the ledger underneath is the moat. You can compare that to Tether, who brought a decade of scale to the table, plus a US arm run by the very first White House official who helped stepper Genius into law in the first place. A striking example of the regulatory industry pipeline. Even so, that arm remains a small fraction of Ripple's stablecoin. But this regulated lane has reset that race. And in that lane, the stack is beating the scale. So bring this back home, the GENIUS Act has been turned on this past Saturday. The rules still don't exist, the winners already do. Ripple has come out of this with a massive victory, but whether or not that victory spills over to the actual holders, I'll leave that up to you to decide in the comments. Like and subscribe on your way down there. Make sure to become a winner, link in the description.